Everybody, this is Dream, and today we have a NFL slate for you that starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Today I did put the college basketball for the main slate, which starts at noon, in the notes here on YouTube, so check that out. I didn't make that public so everybody can see it. Before I get started, though, for the NFL, can you guys smash that like and subscribe button? It really helps the channel a lot. I just didn't have enough time to put up the video for that with it being so close to lock. Hopefully, during the week, I can usually get more into college basketball, but I did manage to get it done today. I just, it's only a couple hours till the slate locks. So let's go ahead and get into this NFL slate here for you. So we'll start with our quarterbacks. My favorite play is Brock Purdy at quarterback. He's got a decent matchup here against Seattle. He's been really solid all season long, and he's got a pretty good price here at just $6,500. You can also pair up some wide receivers with him, and that would definitely help you on this roster. Obviously, he's priced pretty good, so that helps a lot here. You could also look at Lamar Jackson. Now, he's a little bit pricier, and he does have a lower floor, but he is very capable in this matchup. I think Baltimore's going to win this game in dominant fashion, and I think he'll have a pretty good game. I do like his potential here, though like I said, he does have a little bit more risk than Purdy does. He's a little bit safer. Looking at Baker Mayfield, now he's kind of a value play that you could run with for Tampa Bay. He's been inconsistent, but he definitely carries some upside in this matchup against Atlanta, who's been absolutely atrocious lately. And then for kind of a Hail Mary value play, we could look at Joe Flacco, who has only played one game last game against the Rams, but he did very well. And I look for him if he can do anything remotely close to what he did the first game back. He should be a decent option on this game, especially against Jacksonville, who may be somewhat limited as a team. Looking at our running backs here, we're going to start with Mr. McCaffrey. I mean, who else? He's been getting touchdowns just about every single week, and I think he's only had 1 week without a touchdown this season in one way or the other. He's also getting a lot of targets through the air, so he's just got all sorts of upside. He's also very expensive, but you're paying for that potential. Then we'll look at Alvin Kamara for New Orleans. Now he's a contrarian option off of McCaffrey, and he faces a very good matchup here as well. Carolina's been really bad against the rush this season, and he draws a lot of potential in this game. Then we'll look at Bijan Robinson for Atlanta. Now, he's not a must-play by any stretch of imagination, but he's had some really good games throughout the season, and he does have some good upside. His floor is low, but this matchup should be the battle of the weaker teams, so he definitely has some potential here. Javonte Williams for Denver also carries a nice potential in this game against the Chargers, and he's been somewhat inconsistent, but is facing a bad defense this time, so he has a lot of upside in this matchup. Then we'll look at Clyde Edwards-Helaire for Kansas City. He should be the lead back. Now, he hasn't played much or very well so far this season, but he should be the lead back in this game, and he's dirt cheap. Obviously, they don't run the ball a ton, but with Pacheco out, he should draw a nice start and some potential here. Then we'll look at Rachaad White for Tampa Bay. Now, again, he's similar to Atlanta's running back, where he's going to be in a good matchup, and he's been pretty solid so far this season, especially the last 5 or 6 weeks. He's been over 15 fantasy points in every game since week 7, and he faces a good matchup here, so he's definitely a viable option. Looking at our wide receivers here, we have quite a few guys that we do like a lot today, and it seems like a pretty interesting wide receiver slate. Obviously, if you go with Purdy or Jackson, then you can definitely hook in some of their wide receivers on this one. But we'll start with Keenan Allen for the Chargers. Now, he does face a tougher matchup defensively, but he's pretty much matchup proof. He's been good all season long, exception of 1 or 2 games. So his price is pretty expensive. He's definitely a rosterable on the slate. Justin Jefferson also in play here from Minnesota. Now, he's had some monster games this year, and he faces a nice plus matchup here against Las Vegas, who hasn't done much against anybody. His only bad week was last week against Kansas City, and I look for him the first game he played against Kansas City in week 5 before he got hurt. And now that he's back and ready to go, he should be good and high flying in this one. Amon-Ra St. Brown is in play for Detroit. He's been one of the best wide receivers on the season. I like his upside in this matchup, and he's got great potential in a positive situation here. Chicago has been very bad against the pass this season, so I look for him to have a big game. Then we're going to look at Brandon Ayuk for 49ers. Sorry about I think they're the airplane or something. Uh, Ayuk is played very well throughout the season, and if you go with Purdy in that quarterback situation, you should definitely throw him in the lineup. He's pretty good price, and he has some really good upside in this matchup. Looking at Zay Flowers for Baltimore, he kind of sits in the same position as Ayuk does, though he has not been nearly as consistent. But if you throw in Lamar Jackson, Flowers should have some potential in this game. He's been up and down throughout the year, but I do like his upside in this plus matchup here against the Rams, who guys have been doing well against. Rashee Rice for Kansas City is in play on this slate. He's been up and down throughout the season, but he does draw some good potential in a shootout type game like this, and so I do like his upside. Drake London is in play for Atlanta. He's been pretty good so far this season. He's had some inconsistencies, and of course Atlanta's had two, but they've had two tough weeks against tough defenses through the air. This week they get an easy matchup, so I look for him to have a solid game in this matchup. Then we'll look at Elijah Moore for Cleveland. Now, he might end up being the lead wide receiver for this game if Cooper is ruled out. If that's the case, then he'll become a great play on the slate. Then we'll look at Zay Jones, excuse me, for Jacksonville. Now, he does carry some risk if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play, and Cleveland's been one of the best teams against defense, against wide receivers, but he could be the second guy on the roster, and if at wide receiver, and if Trevor Lawrence does play, then he would definitely draw some potential here. Jonathan Mingo is in play today, though he carries some risk. The last couple of weeks with the new coach, he's been targeted a heck of a lot more and getting a lot more opportunities, and that looks like that should continue here. And he's nice and dirt cheap against New Orleans, who does have a tough defense for him, but he's a pretty decent. He has decent upside at his price. And then Parker Washington, if Jacksonville, this is pretty much if Lawrence plays. He would be the third wide receiver and have a lot of potential in this game at a literal minimum price. Looking at our tight ends, I'm going to do these in order of my favorites. We'll look at Kyle Pitts for Atlanta. He's been inconsistent throughout the season, but he does face a good matchup here. He's had 2 or 3 weeks in a row with tougher matchup defensively, but this is a weak one, and he should get some upside. He's actually kind of more of a flex position option, though, than just the general uh, top option. Looking at Evan Ingram here, he has had ups and downs throughout the season, but he does draw a lot of upside in this matchup, and so he has some potential as he should be utilized a lot if Lawrence plays. But you do want to make sure Lawrence plays here. My favorite guy here is let's see, I can't type. Hawkinson for Minnesota. Now he's got a great matchup here. He's going to get targeted more in this game, I think, and he has a lot of potential. Las Vegas has not been great against wide receivers either, against tight ends, so I like his potential here, and he has a good upside and a pretty good price. Then we'll look at Njoku for Cleveland. Now he's been up and down throughout the year, but he draws some good potential in this game. This should be a game that Cleveland should have an advantage in, and I do like his upside. And then Travis Kelce is a high risk, high reward type of play today. He's going to have some big time upside, but he does have a low floor. He's had some off games recently, but I think this will be a high scoring game, so he should get a lot of opportunities. As for our defenses, we'll start with the Ravens. They face the Rams, and the Ravens have actually been the best scoring defense on the season, and the Rams are an average team, so I like their potential today. I also think the Vikings against Vegas is a decent option, even though Vegas is playing a little bit better. The Vikings have been pretty solid against bad teams, and this is a different situation. The only issue there would be Jacobs, really. Then we'll look at Falcons against Tampa Bay. This is also an opportunity for the Falcons defense to pay off at a cheap price, and they've had a couple good weeks in a row against lethargic offenses, and this is definitely another one of those types of situations. And then for the Browns, if Lawrence doesn't play, then they would be a team to consider on the slate, as they will have a good matchup there and have been pretty good most of the season. So with that said, guys, thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below, and have a nice day, guys.